Upanishad Gavo Dogda Gopala Nandana Parthavatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gitamritam Maha. All the Upanishads are likened to a cow. The cowherd boy is Krishna. The milk is Bhagavad Gita. And the drinkers of that milk are people of purified intellect. Partha, Arjuna, is the calf. Karma Yoga, that's the third chapter, Bhagavad Gita, and we are on verse 39. So 339, Bhagavad Gita. Those who are following with the text can open on this page. Avritam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina kamarupena kaunteya dushkurena nalena cha. So, we had seen in the earlier verses, Shri Krishna is now describing the enemy. And that enemy is desire and anger, which is born out of what is called Rajoguna, the Rajas. And it is a great sinner. Why? Because it is insatiable. It's a great eater. Mahashano Mahapapma. It just cannot be satisfied. And further it was said, well, what are its locations? The Lord will answer those also, but this desire, anger, is not so simple as you think it is. The enemy has had a long tenure, a long association with us. It knows how to disguise itself, how to come in different forms. And that's the reason why we've got to be even more careful how to locate it and how to kill it. Kill it? Yes, kill it, of course. So the 39th verse picks this up. O son of Kunti, that's Arjuna, because Kunti was Arjuna's mother. The mind is covered by this constant enemy of the wise in the form of desire, which is like an insatiable fire. Those who have seen what's a fire like, it burns everything to ashes. All your hopes or aspirations, it takes away all your bhakti and yoga and knowledge and everything. It finishes off. The word used is dushpurena analena. That is like an insatiable kind of fire. Anala, analam, which nothing is kind of ever sufficient for that fire. It keeps on burning things and burning things and burning things. Yes, that's a fire outside. The illustration uses fire. You know, we are in California, we see this forest fires, famous California fires. running through neighborhoods and forests and finishing of things. Starts with a kind of a small spark. And then it rose and rose and rose and feeds on things, combustible things. All of us have seen such things. Now, that kind of illustration is given for this desire and anger which is in the mind. The word used, another word used is nitya vairina. It's a constant enemy. Constant enemy? Yes, of the wise, jnanina. Why? It is not a constant enemy of the fool also. The fool is not even aware that he or she is in a grip of a very powerful force that's destroying his life, destroying the mind, destroying the senses, destroying all higher aspirations, destroying morality, destroying families, and destroying nations. This is what it is. Here it is saying of the person of knowledge or the wise person. Because a wise person has an advantage. What's that? The person becomes aware that he or she is in the grip of an emotion that is holding them and dragging them into things which they do not want. Even when they are in the grip of that desire, a slight kind of awareness is there. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? But they are helpless. While a person who is not wise will go in, as I say, where angels fear to tread. Fools enter, where angels get inside. You see, desire does not come with an hideous face. We have all these kind of depictions of evil as horrible looking, grotesque, and you can look at that and you understand this is evil. The eyes and the features and the color, all are kind of evil. But evil is actually not that. We made a big mistake. Evil has a very beautiful face. So you have to understand it, locate it, and it will entice you, allure you, drag you with its beauty, with its charm, with its wonderful words of, you can say, there's nothing better than this. Then is desire not desirable? People have always taken refuge in desire because there is a momentary sense of fulfillment. Obviously. And that is how desire understands your weakness. These guys, they want momentary satisfaction. They don't want any kind of a delayed satisfaction. They want everything now. What about me? What about now? Let's have it right away. So, desire exploits this very, you can say, nature of personalities. So, here he is saying avritam, covers. What's that? Desire covers what? Jnanam, knowledge. It is an enemy because it is an enemy of knowledge. That's the reason why it is non-knowledge or ignorance. And ignorance has its root in desire. And contrariwise, desire has its root in ignorance. So they both keep on working together. And when they work together, it's called karma. That's why avidya, kama, and karma. Ignorance, desire, and action. We are whirled in this kind of, we can say, storm. That's why it's saying avritam, it's covered. Is it always like that? It is always like that. So, desire, this enemy, is a constant enemy of the wise because it covers knowledge. And it's saying here, so the discerning person who is like, understands, yeah, see, this is something I've got to give up. Yet the person is kind of held in its grip. And the next time desire rises, that person goes to fulfill it and gets further into the mire, gets caught. A little more, and that person gets into bigger and bigger and bigger bondages or shackles until we are not free at all. We see people going around with such kind of pride and arrogance and confidence. Inside, they are all kind of burnt by desires. Their intelligence, their morality, everything is kind of become, you can say, burnt. Not in burnt into cinders. That kind of strength, that moral strength, that spiritual strength is lacking in people because of this. You see, what happens is we meet people and we converse with them, and it's fine. We are looking at only at the surface. Just see that same person who is one of the many and the many. There's stress, there's tension, there's anxiety, there's depression, there's a kind of suicidal thoughts. All the problems in society arise from this mind which is kind of smitten with desire. It will not keep you in peace. And the psychosomaticist says the diseases of the mind come out in the body, and then the diseases of the body come out in society on the earth. People are restless, and people say, oh, my mind is restless. Okay. Where is peace? Wherever there is desire, there is no peace. There is a question of peace at all. Because it's constantly burning you. This is the constant enemy. That's why Nitya Vairina is a constant enemy of the wise, of everybody actually. The wise understand it a little more, that they are in the grips of it. It has eaten away our faculty of discernment. If you get a little, we want some more. And then, we can even, as the scriptures say, we'll shout even at the preceptor, the guru. And we do things in a kind of a haze. Desire does focus us. A person who has just desires in his mind. Where does the desires come? From those wishes. It's called trishna, it's called thirst. It's a thirst for external objects, the thirst to satisfy your cravings. It is that greed. And when obstructed, you become angry. It is there. lurking behind every face, lurking behind every type of eyes and behind every action. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible. It has hijacked us all. So see on the surface, oh, such nice, so sweet, and we invite this person. "Hey, come in, come in." This desire comes in as a friend and becomes our enemy. There is a, I don't know, some of you must have read this. There is something called desire sits down on your shoulders. There was in those thousand stories of the Arabian Nights, there was a sailor called Sinbad, and he was shipwrecked, and he uh, ended up on a small island where he was praising the Lord because he was saved. And he goes, and then he meets an old man who just couldn't walk around because he was old and because his legs were not very strong. And he convinced Sinbad to carry him on his shoulders and help him cross a small river, stream. And Sinbad does that. Takes the old man on his shoulders and helps him cross the stream. And after they cross the stream, now get down. I'm not going to get down. And every time Sinbad is trying to push him down, the old man twists his legs around Sinbad's neck, choking him. So here Sinbad was there, stuck up with this old man who doesn't want to come down. It had become a burden. He had gone to help the old man out of pity, out of compassion, out of non-discrimination, and that this old man isn't getting down. And one day, of course, he sees a tree and there are some birds and some animals around eating some of the fruit and getting kind of intoxicated. So Sinbad goes to that tree, and then the old man plucks those fruits and starts eating, and then he becomes intoxicated. He loses its kind of faculty of uh, tightening his legs around Sinbad's neck, and Sinbad gets an opportunity. He throws the old man down and escapes. So we, out of our eagerness to please ourselves and the world outside, we get caught. Swami Vivekananda says, well, the honey bee came to suck honey in a jar, but its feet got stuck up. We are constantly in that. Desire comes to us wearing a crown of thorns. Take this, take the crown of thorns also. So, avritam jnanametena jnaninonde. O son of Kunti, the mind is covered by this constant enemy of the wise in the form of desires. It's a huge, you'll say, where is the mind? Yeah. The mind is you have something called a mind. But why can't we understand when the moment when you try to enter into this mind, try to know it, there stands desire at the doorway. It will not let you in. No, you give it. Why? Because that is its den. It's, you can say, den, the storehouse. That is its kind of abode. The mind has been filled and filled and filled with the progeny of desire in the form of sanskaras, in the form of vasanas, impressions of not only one lifetime, many, many, many lifetimes, and many things that you've done in this life. Desire does not want you to enter into those realms, that abode. So it has completely hijacked the mind. It makes you operate a little sensibly with the senses out, but you don't know how it is actually leading you towards more and more desires. You think I'm fine, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm behaving rationally, I'm behaving kind of with sensibly, but everything has been kind of hijacked. It's being leading you from one desire to the another desire. Why? Because it has to have constant nourishment. The nourishment comes through the senses. If I have a small, you can say, desire for chocolates, and it so happens that I have not eaten chocolates for the last 10 years, that the desire does not want, because its offspring will die. So desire will lead you to a chocolate shop or take you around to where you can see chocolate. That is enough. Those pictures come in, the desire awakens. And then you're led into the shop or you want to eat something. So its offspring is kind of, you can say, teeming. Where? Inside, in the subconscious mind. There are other things also in the mind, but it is desire, this kama rupa, that is like, as he said, which is like an insatiable fire. The fire inside, yeah, constantly burning. And that is its life. So when you say constantly burning, why? Because there is fuel. The fire has to have fuel. And that fuel is acquired by desire through us. Get this, get that. Please go ahead. It's like that old man on Sinbad's shoulder. Get this, get that. It's not going to leave you until and unless we know that this is the enemy. Knowing that this is an enemy is the first step in its conquest. At times, we have to be a little stern with ourselves. This world is not meant for babies and children. It's a child's play. It's not a child's play. As we can see, this world is a very harsh teacher. And this immaturity has led us down into bigger and bigger and bigger problems. We need this kind of spiritual maturity, this kind of understanding, this focus, spiritual focus. Then we can take this enemy. Because over the years and over lifetimes, it has fed itself and has become stronger and stronger. It will simply push all your efforts like straw. You have a mighty flood and it's being pulling things away. And our efforts are like straw in that kind of mighty current. So the next one is, as we have been discussing this, it's like the more you satiate a desire, the more it grows. It's like fire when we put in oil or ghee. Now that we know that this is the enemy, why? Because it covers knowledge. So knowledge is our friend. Now they're both grappling, like two wrestlers, both grapple. Knowledge and that desire, its enemy. This world is a world of duality, and here it is. Then, so when you're grappling with an enemy, the enemy knows it does not put all its forces in one place. It distributes its forces, it distributes its strengths. Because obviously it is an extremely, extremely clever enemy. It will not put all its eggs in one basket. The next verse is Indriyani mano buddhi rasyadhisthana muchyate etairvi mohayatyesha jnanam avritya dehinam. So the 40th verse is the sense organs, indriyani, mana, mind, and buddhi, and the intellect, are said to be its abode. Asya adhishthanam uchyate. It's said that the senses, the mind, and the intellect are its abode. Eitair, this one, by veiling knowledge, diversely deludes the embodied being with the help of these. So we are saying, it deludes the embodied, the jiva, through the senses, the mind, and the intellect. Why? Because it has hijacked. We know the well-known story about the nose of the camel. Like Swami Vivekananda also mentions it. In the desert, a Bedouin has got these camels in the ear. They travel by caravans. And the desert becomes very cold. So one camel puts its nose in the tent, opening of the tent. So the Arab inside is saying, "Hey, get out. Take your nose out. It's cold outside, you see. I like to keep my nose warm." Okay. And the Arab goes to sleep. After a while, sees the whole head of the camel inside. "Hey, out. Actually, I'm not bothering you because you are sleeping down there. My head is up here. I just want to keep my, you can say, nose and the ears warm." Okay. And then the Arab also tries to sleep. And after a while, the camel puts its neck inside, saying, "I told you to get out. What's your problem? You are sleeping, you sleep. I want to keep my head and my neck warm. So there's plenty of space here. Okay, but don't enter anything anymore inside." Arab went to sleep, and then the camel entered into the tent, the whole body. And the Arab was objecting, the Bedouin objecting, shouting, saying, "If you want to stay here, you stay here, or you get out." Okay, but I'm not going to get out. I'm entering, I want to stay warm here. So slowly things enter into us. It catches us unawares. And we feel, okay, we should be kind and compassionate to things. That is our weakness. And that enemy starts entering inside slowly, little by little by little by little. As the three abodes have been given, first the senses, the sensory system. You let it enter more, it will enter in the mind. And then it will enter further into the intellect. As it enters into the intellect, like the camel, now it will go to push you out. Get out. You get out, I am going to stay here. It will hijack your whole, you can say, sensory and motor and system. Everything. But what about the ego? This is the ego itself. The combination of your senses, mind, and intellect. Ego is not some separate faculty. It is all, the whole thing is combined. And as we can see, the three examples which were given in the 38th verse was like smoke enveloping fire, like a mirror completely covered by dust, and like a fetus completely covered by the womb. So is this three stages. When the desires enters into the senses, you can discern, like fire and smoke, there are two distinct things. Though it is always associated with this desire, fire and smoke. So you can discern this thing. If you don't stop it there, it will enter inside more, and it will be very difficult to discern the mirror which is covered by dust, completely dust. You have to take a longer time to clean it and clean it and clean it. And if you let it enter something inwards, it will come into your intellect. And then it's become extremely difficult because it's extremely concealed. So that which was not so concealed, which was apparent, which can be killed through discernment, now it has become concealed. It has become embodied. So the body and the mind, you say the bear, the body and the mind is nothing but embodied desire. So desire needs a vehicle. You know, we have these old stories of, you can say, possession. Something comes and possesses some people, and they behave differently, erratically, abnormally. Well, it actually is this desire. Desire needs an embodiment. So it takes higher and higher embodiments, the senses, and the mind, and then the intellect. And then it is now safe. Nothing can kind of kill me because I'm completely concealed. I have embodied myself with this kind. And externally it keeps a nice, decent, and you can say innocent face. I say, what gives things reality? A thought. So I keep on thinking about things, and it will make me think of desirable things. And those things now become more and more and more real to me. I keep on thinking once, then I keep on thinking twice. As the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter says, Dhyayato Vishayan Pungsa Sangasteshu Pajayate. As you keep on thinking, you look at a thing once, you look at a thing twice, you're caught. And then it slowly drags you in. Shri Ramakrishna there were many monks who used to come to Dakshineshwar. There was a monk who came who never looked at a thing twice. And that is what? You look at one thing, okay, fine. You look at it second time, you're caught. Maya catches you. You know, there was one incident in Swami Vivekananda's life. Very interesting. Many people don't know about it. So he was in Paris, Europe, in France. He was walking down the streets, and you know, Paris is a beautiful city. On one side, there's an ugly side also to Paris, but it doesn't matter. The people and all, beautiful looking people, and everything's so beautiful. Swami Vivekananda was in Paris, where he saw a face of a beautiful woman. And Swami Vivekananda was he looks second time. Swami Vivekananda never used to look at things like that couple of times, never. So he turned to look again. The second time. And that beautiful face turned ugly. In his eyes, that beautiful face became ugly. And that ugliness repelled him. Swami Vivekananda could see things beneath the surface. So that face which everybody is looking at as very beautiful, from the first glance, things are like that only. A second glance in ordinary people, it's even more beautiful. And third glance, it's even more beautiful. Every time we think about it, look at it, it becomes more and more beautiful, heightened. Beautiful or lovely or whatever, attractive. And there we are. In Swami Vivekananda's case, it was the second time it turned ugly. He saw beneath the surface. And his mind is the mind of a knower of Brahman. So it is not possible for him to get attracted to any kind of object in the world. This is the kind of a lesson for us also. So this Indriyani, sense organs, mana, and sense organs mean both the sensory as well as the motor organs. Okay, we have 5 sensory organs and 5 motor organs there. So the desire enters there, and then it sees, oh, this guy is lax. He's not vigilant. Gets inside further. Like the nose of the camel now is become the head of the camel. And the neck as well. And then we are still lulled into the false sense of security. Everything is okay. Then the camel, they're called desire, enters into the intellect and hijacks the whole system and pushes that Bedouin outside. It pushes a discrimination, pushes out a peace of mind, pushes out everything that we thought was noble and nice and should be pursued. Love of God, meditation, japa, dhyana. So desire will say, yes, you should go and now meditate. Go, meditate. And you will sit down and meditate. Then desire will say, I told you so. You can't meditate. Come, get up. No, what will people say? Okay, then you pretend. Okay, fine. What do I think about? Think of me. Think of me, desire. And then we keep on thinking of desire instead of thinking of God. Instead of meditating, there we get caught. So, what we are trying to get at is this enemy is extremely deceptive, and we've got to be extremely vigilant. Every step of the way has to be dealt with with vigilance and firmness. There has to be no compromise here. There has to be no kind of weakness here. This enemy is killing me, it has to be killed. Big, huge kings and emperors have been, you can say, subject of these mighty desires. And they want to rule this nation, will conquer that nation, will kill so many people, will break this. Desire hijacked all these people. So we must understand what has to be done. The next verse gives us the solution. And here the Lord is kind of very clear. You've got to be harsh. You've got to be strong. So, to recap this, as desires keep on slowly extending its tentacles within us, we've got to kind of cut it out. It's like that multiple headed hydra. You know, what's a 10-headed or 12-headed or whatever, 8-headed hydra?
How many times you cut its head off?
Yeah, if you cut its head off, another one grows in its place. Cut it, another one grows in place. The Hercules finally slays it. So it's that thousand-headed hydra. You cut off one, another grows in its place. Cut off one, another grows. This is not to kind of to depress you. Oh, then it is impossible. Wow. No, there is some heroic fiber within all of us. And this desire, however strong, if grappled with, we will be able to understand our own strength. This is very, very important. This enemy also teaches. You say, you must always, they say, listen to your enemies also, what they are saying about you. Never just think you have some comfortable friends, sycophants, they're kind of the yes people around you. People surround them with the yes men or yes women. And they tell you how wonderful you are. All your mistakes also, oh, nothing, you're so wonderful. They are actually destroying you. A real friend is one who will tell you what exactly you are and what you need to do. He will tell you when you are wrong. That is a friend. It's not trying to kind of cajole a baby with sweets. This is not baby's play. This is serious business. So this enemy here can be turned into a friend. Its overtures can be taken as a sign of, I need to awaken my discrimination, my discernment, my own inner strength. And this is what the desire does. But that depends on how strongly you want to counteract this. The 41 verse is Tasmat tvam indriyanyado niyamya bharatarshava papmanam prajahi yenam jnana vijnana nashanam. Therefore, O scion of the Bharata dynasty, after first controlling the sense organs, you renounce this one. What this one? This desire, which is sinful and a destroyer of learning and wisdom. Here it is. It is kind of clear. Here, tasmad, therefore, tvam, you, indriyani ado. In the very beginning, what do? You control niyamya, your sensory system. This is much more easier to do than controlling the mind. How to control the mind? People say, no, mind and its control, and oh my God, how to control the mind? Don't control the mind. First, control your sensory system. And then after you control the sensory system, then you can control the mind. Otherwise, it's just impossible. And to control the sensory system, what do you have to do? Obviously, control the body. Because the sensory system is located within the body. So the body has to be controlled. That's the first step. Then the senses are easily controlled. When the senses are easily controlled, the mind becomes easily controlled. So instead of going first into the sensory organs, we need to go into the motor organs. We control them slowly, we get a grip on everything. And then we push inwards and grab that senses. So in the very beginning, he's saying first get a hold on your senses. You renounce this one. There is an alternate reading, prajahi. Prajahi means to kill. This or prajahi enam, this, or you renounce this one. Either way, it's you either renounce it or you kill that. What? Papmanam, this sinful one. What's this sinful one? It leads us to demerit, it leads us to sin. So this is the enemy here. So in order to highlight the enemy's, you can say, distinctive qualities, this is a sinner, this is the great eater, and this is in the 37th also he says, there also he says that Mahashano Mahapapma, the great sinner. Here he repeats this. That's a great sinner. See, Vedanta does not recognize sin. Swami Vivekananda says, Vedanta recognizes error. This kind of constant, you are a sinner, you are a sinner, you are a sinner. Me? What wrong did I do? Your forefathers sinned, and that sin is now on you. But I'm innocent. Whether you are innocent or not, that will not do. Your forefathers did all that sin, now it has come on to you. But then what? I'm innocent. So there are many things you have done, not your ancestors, you yourself have done in the past. These are coming down to you. So this actually leads us astray. How? By robbing us of our strength, robbing us of our integrity, robbing us of our ethical way of life, robbing us out. See, all crime, all evil has the seed of evil beneath it. And as long as human beings have lived and built all these beautiful societies, see these tall skyscrapers, what's that? It's a downtown. Beautiful. Don't get fooled by this tall skyscraper that society has built. See the other dark side, which is always there. You go to any community, you go to any city, you go to any town, you go to any village, there is a dark side. Always. So there is a human being, and the human being also has a dark side. That's why she builds societies like this. Outside is nice and fresh and clean looking and everything, but it hides a secret. And that secret is that enemy, that desire that's pulling us. That's why I say, don't be kind of soft on these kind of things. You're going to grab that enemy and prajahi, kill or renounce. Why? This is that guy who's leading you towards demerit, towards sin. But I'm okay. Yeah, because it is the constant enemy. It destroys, what is it destroys? Jnana and Vijnana, knowledge and realization. Knowledge is indirect knowledge of the self. All what you read and what you absorb in, that's a kind of information. And as that is absorbed, that becomes knowledge. And when that absorbed knowledge fructifies into realization, that is Vijnana. So knowledge and realization, it destroys knowledge and realization. So Jnana and Vijnana Nashanam, it destroys knowledge and realization. The idea is, we now know what the enemy is, who the enemy is. We have identified it as desire and anger. We know where it dwells. Go out and kill the enemy. That is the whole idea of spiritual life. Spiritual life is taking a walk down a nice, wide path, lined with trees and birds chirping. No. Spiritual life is like that. Rough, It's narrow, it's steep, you bleed, you're cut into places as you keep on crawling that path. The moment you see a nice, well-laid road and path and beautiful, that is a deception. That is to be avoided. Take the rough path, take the tough path, take the path which is painful, and it will bring out the best within us. And then, when we can do that, we will have conquered desire. Swami Vivekananda, one time, he was in Benares, and he was talking to Swami Bhaskarananda. He was a very great monk in Benares. Even Holy Mother had met him. So Swami Vivekananda says, they were talking actually about this, about desires and getting free from desires. So Swami Bhaskarananda, no, there is no one free from desire. And Swami Vivekananda stood his ground. And he said, I know and I've seen people who have been free from desires. What do you say? And he kind of defended his position with very, very kind of strong arguments. Swami Bhaskarananda was stunned because Bhaskarananda was extremely, you can say, venerable there in the city. Everybody knew him. And if you are venerable in the city of Benares, it's something, it's big, it's a big thing. He was a scholar, he was a monk. So he was taken aback. His disciples also. Swami Vivekananda says, I am not returning to Benares until society will follow me like a dog. I'll build up so much power and I'll come and burst upon society. And that's what Swamiji did later on. He came with all that power, he had burst upon society. He gave us that hope and strength that yes, you can conquer it. So Swami Vivekananda, after his outburst with that Swami Bhaskarananda, as he's leaving, Bhaskarananda was a great Swami. He said, he smiled with great delight. He said, this young man, the young monk, has Mother Saraswati sitting on his tongue. And he had predicted a great future for Swami Vivekananda. That's what actually happened. So here we have, don't get disheartened because, these desires, they're insatiable and they are my enemies and they have already entered me and what will I do? Awaken that strength. Take the side of Swami Vivekananda. And he, as he has assured us, yes, can remove this out. Take refuge in Sri Ramakrishna, the taintless, the sinless, the pure. And we also will be taintless and stainless and pure. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.